Hey guys, day 2, live from Prague. I'm sitting with friends Jordan. Hey friends, how you doing?
Hey Danny, good to be here.
Good. We haven't seen each other for a couple of years now. I know I had you on the show about 18 months ago. I was sitting there taking photographs in your presentation, and you never can stop learning about PPC.
Yeah.
So, really good presentation. Do you want to give the audience a little bit of background on some of the bits that you were covering?
Sure. I mean, so essentially I was touching on the most recent feature releases that Amazon did. So specifically, I think the bidding strategies and the placement reports. I think those were the most interesting ones, and how they performed so far. You know, now that they've been around for 3 months or so.
Yeah.
And so I think to summarize it, so when it comes to bidding strategies, definitely what we see is that when you go from down only to up and down, what you definitely see is an increase in sales.
Yeah.
So I think that's the good news. The less good news is that the costs also increase, and they tend to increase even more than your sales, so your ACOS is going up. So our recommendation would be that if you go from a down only strategy to an up and down strategy, you basically adjust your bid by around 30%. So you lower bid by 30% in order for it if you want to keep the same profitability.
Yeah.
Obviously, if you just want to boost sales, you just go from down only up and down, and then you'll see a bunch of sales happening, but it's going to be more expensive.
Can you talk me through you're showing some slides where basically you charted the down only and some of the backroom stuff that we don't get to see.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about those key steps? And we were talking about the difference between, you know, a man going out to buy a baby carrier to a lady or a mum buying a baby carrier, and how that references for Amazon and the conversion rates be different and that kind of stuff.
Sure. I mean, so essentially, I mean, today if you run the PPC campaigns, all you have as an information is you have an ASIN and a keyword, right? Yeah. But the reality is that behind each keyword there's an individual story. So if the two of us now today were searching for the same keyword, the likelihood of us buying the product would be different because you have another background that I have, right?
Yeah.
And so behind each search term there is personal information, there's device information. If you search on mobile, you're less likely to buy expensive stuff compared to desktop. There's placement information, time information. And so all of this data is out there and Amazon has it, but for us as advertisers, this is not accessible.
Yeah.
And so those bidding strategies, essentially, they make use of all this data that is hidden for us, but Amazon has it.
Yeah.
And based on this, they basically have a better understanding of which actually user is going to convert, not just based on the search query, but on the actual persona that is behind there. So I think it's a really cool development. I think we're very excited when Amazon released this because it makes the data accessible to us without them sharing the data.
Yeah.
And so I think it's exactly what Amazon wants. They want to make the data accessible, but they don't want you and me to have the exact data of this is a user.
But it goes back to the trends thing that you were talking about. At some point, we're talking about the easy part and the hard work and getting aggregated data to granular data. If they want to get Madison Avenue kind of brands on board who are already advertising elsewhere off platform with so much more density of data, Amazon has to catch up. They're kind of doing some of it with AMG. I think I don't use AMG, but apparently it's like 160 metrics. But if people are going to utilise that and give money to Amazon, they are going to then need to give up that kind of data, or no one's going to be wanting to do this top of funnel brand stuff. Otherwise, you know, you can piss away 30 grand. And if you haven't got any levers or metrics to work with, how are you going to track and measure, you know, the return on investment? So we know that they do have a number of features. If you're, I think the minimum spends now is 5k, isn't it?
For the
AMG.
Yeah, I think it's even 10. I think it's even higher 10, or something. So it's pretty significant for the average seller.
But it was at 1.30k. So but even though the data that they got there, though much better, I would say it's probably, and this is off the top of my head because I haven't compared it, but if you compare that to something like the Google Display Network and maybe Facebook ads, there's more rich data there that you'll get access to over what Amazon's currently offering at this moment in time.
Oh, totally. So I think, I mean, the way I look at it is no one has as good data as Amazon. Of all the marketing platforms out there, no one has such relevant data. Now, Amazon basically doesn't want to share this data. But the pressure from the market in some way is that if they want to touch those large budgets, specifically the top of funnel branding budgets, which are typically the biggest ones, I think that they will need to open up. And in fact, the things that we've seen over the past couple of months, specifically around AMG, like you pointed out, clearly indicate that they are aware of this and they are getting more and more transparent. But I think from a general philosophy, Amazon is a rather closed has a rather closed mindset, so they don't want to share.
Yeah.
The reason why they share is not because they want us to have it, it's because the market is pushing them and they want to have access to the big budgets.
Yeah.
So I think that's the case, and I think the question will be to what degree is this going to trickle down from AMG over to sponsored products and kind of the self-service.
I think after a period of time, it all ends up in Seller Central at some point.
Well, yeah, I mean that's what you expect. Now then again, with Amazon, you never know, right? Because it's just a very.
But maybe they keep that separate because they do want to attract the big brands, and the big brands will only stay because there's the moat.
That could be a strategy as well. So the reality is, at this point, I don't know what's going to happen there. But I think that just seeing what's going on and the changes they make on the AMG side, I think is definitely promising, or keep the hopes up that it will come for the self-service side as well.
Cool.
So, yeah.
Is there anything you want to add before we go?
I don't know. It's been great seeing you again, man.
You too. What's coming up in the development cycle? You got anything you're announcing soon on the Celix side?
Yeah, I mean, so we've been working for quite some time now on a new profit dashboard. So the profit dashboard is very popular in Celix, and we had some shortcomings that we've been fixing. So I hope that it's gonna be. So now is end of March. So I think over the course of April we're gonna roll it out. We're in private beta right now. We have day parting on the PPC side, which we're currently testing on a private beta. We have some exciting features around profit and PPC.
You do vendor stuff as well.
I do vendor stuff, yeah.
Any opinion on the mythical vendor one?
That is so.
I think that you can say. Yeah, sorry.
I think. So I think that there are a lot of rumors in the market, and actually no one really knows what's going on. And personally, I think that Amazon themselves, they don't even know what it is. Yeah. I think the steps that you see is that there's going to be somewhat a unification between sellers and vendors.
Yeah.
But you don't know whether this is just a technical thing on the background, or whether this is a fundamental. Because some rumors are saying that everyone will be seller and vendor at the same time, and Amazon will just pick some products that will be vendor. So that's a very significant change to the business model of many people. Yeah. So I don't know whether it's just a mere, there's going to be a new one central or something that is just a new backend, or whether it's actually a completely different change to the business model.
But I do love a rumor. They come and go, don't they? And they're like, we can get it so wrong. I listened back to some podcasts that we spoke about. You predict things for the future and you get it completely wrong.
So I don't know. I don't have any specifics, but I do think that generally speaking, I think the interesting change that happened. So that's a fact, right? So what happened from an organizational point of view, that in the past there used to be two separate SVPs at Amazon, one in charge of the vendor side and one in charge of the seller side. Yeah. And so a year ago, so in March 2018 or something, the VP of the seller side, he basically left Amazon. Yeah. And so what happened is the entire seller side now is reporting to the former VP vendor side only. So instead of having separate organization, now you have basically the lines are meeting at this one person. And so I think that as part of this, there has certainly been some thinking around, well, so why do we even have those seller and vendor? Does it still make sense? Like, we've been having this for 10 years, but should we maybe reconsider? So they shut down Vendor Central Express very quickly, for instance. That happened right after it. So I think that there are. I think that they're currently reconsidering the entire setup, but I don't know what the result will be, and I don't know if they know it themselves. So,
cool. Yeah. Guys, thank you for joining us. Friends, thank you for joining us. I'll give you updates later today, and friends, I'll get you on the show proper in the next few weeks. Yeah,
cool,
we can have a proper chat then.